Happy New Year. I hope you all got exactly what you wanted for Christmas. I hope you've all made New Year's resolutions, which you're going to keep. I always make easy ones, like I won't sleep 24 hours straight. 23 is okay, 24 no. The topic today is something near and dear to my heart because I got up on New Year's Day and said to myself, I think I'm going to be really positive this year. I think I'm going to try, and I'm a life coach, so my goal is to see my clients as they really are instead of as they think they are. Because 99.9% of you are bigger and better and stronger than you think you are. So I am going to see every day as bigger and better and happier than I have been expecting it to be. The world is kind of in a crazy place right now. If you want to, you can turn on the TV and find a million reasons to be discouraged. You can go on YouTube, I have discovered, and find a million things that will make you laugh or sometimes cry and encourage you and remind you that there are people in the world who are doing wonderful things. It's just that the newspapers and the TV aren't noticing. And my belief is that the things that they are doing are every bit as powerful as the things that people are doing that are negative. As a matter of fact, my belief is it's more powerful to love than it is to hate. I think that one of the things I want to just point out is the reason it looks like the world is going to hell in a handbasket right now is because things that have been going on forever that have been just below the surface and covered up and ignored are now just blowing up in our face. It's like if you don't clean your house, eventually it's going to be filthy. If you never clean the tree roots out of the sewer line, it's going to back up in your basement. And I think that's what's happening now. All those things we haven't taken care of, all those things we haven't addressed consciously, are now floating to the surface. My source essence says it's like you have this beautiful pond and you've been stuffing all your garbage down into the spring that feeds that pond. And eventually, the energy of the spring, which is the fresh flowing water, blows out that plug and it all floats to the surface. And you look at it and you go, oh my God, this was a beautiful pond. No, it wasn't. The surface was. But underneath it, there was all this stuff that needed to be taken care of. So the positive thing is it's all on the surface now. We can see what we're dealing with, and we can't close our eyes anymore. Now, I'm going to ask you guys to do a favor for me. This is the only exercise I'm going to ask you to do. Would you all stand up, please? Now, I want you to look up here and take notice of what you see. Just in your mind, there's no quiz. Just, this is the picture up here. Now I want you to turn halfway to your left. So you're looking there. It's a totally different view. Now if you turn all the way around to the back, you're seeing something completely different than the previous. Yeah, Gary. That's a great view. Now turn all the way around here to your over here. And notice how you're in the same place you were. And now turn around here. You have 4 different perspectives from that spot in the room. You didn't move anywhere else. You just changed the direction you were looking in. That's what we need to do in this coming year. I'm not saying, you can sit down now. I'm not saying that you have to not watch the news or not pay attention to the election or to the forget the campaigning, go right to the election. Be informed. But from a perspective of, this is one thing that's happening in the world. One thing. Think of how many people in the world do not give a rip about our election. Think of how many people in the world aren't even aware of what's going on other than in their own small little yard. We've been taught that we're supposed to have the universal vision. We're supposed to see everything. Because we are, and I do believe this is true, not the, but a chosen people. We live at a time when the choices that we make and the decisions that we make are going to impact the entire world. That's pretty heavy. Except the way you change the world is by looking at yourself. You are a microcosm of everything that's out there, because you are a part of all of that. So when you see your life as depressing or hard or difficult, it doesn't matter that there's somebody in a yurt someplace that has a harder life than you do. That's the energy you're sending out into the world. Life is hard, life is difficult. I don't have enough. That's why it's important to start out this year knowing, first of all, yes, there are things that are going right. And then recognizing it's really important to celebrate those things. I was telling David on the way over here, I think it boils down to 3 steps. First, you have to ask for positive things to be happening in your life. Because what you ask for in your life is the energy you are putting out for the whole world. And believe me, it's easier to handle your life than it is to handle the whole world. We're just thinking it's easier to worry about the whole world. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're cheating the world. If you're not living a happy life, no amount of money that you send to any place for anybody is going to change as much as you choosing to live joyfully in your life. One of the greatest truths my father ever gave me was, you cannot starve yourself enough to feed a single person. Think about that. I have this marvelous teacher in my life, cleverly disguised as an obnoxious son, who is constantly telling me, I want to live a life of joyous abundance and give from my overflow. Now, there are people who would see his life as not that joyous, not that abundant, and definitely pretty short on the overflow place. But he continually, I want to live a life of joyous abundance and give from my overflow. He's changing the world. When I first started to do this work up here, one of the things Gary told me is, they don't like it if you read to them. So I'm going to warn you right up ahead. I have 3 quotes I want you to go away with. The first is by Oscar Wilde, who, if you know anything about him, did not have a particularly happy life. He said, we are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. You may be in the gutter, but you don't have to look at it. You don't have to stay there. You can pick your head up and look at the stars. Everybody can do that. There's nobody who can't enjoy looking up at the stars. There's no one who can't celebrate a sunrise or a sunset. Every single day, you have the opportunity to get up in the morning, look out, and say, oh my God, I have another day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The older you get, the more valuable they become, I will tell you that. It's about the choice you make. It's about your perspective. If you stood up and if you were constantly looking at the back wall, it would be really hard to relate to what's going on up here. Your choice every day is, what do you want to look at? How do you want to perceive it? As a life coach, one of the great tools I got to use with people when something bad goes wrong is to say, okay, what's possible from this place? Because there are always possibilities. No matter how bad it is, there are possibilities. Somebody sent me a thing on Facebook the other day that said, 2016, 366 possibilities, because it's a leap year. One of my favorites over the last couple of months is two of the Snoopy characters, I think it's Charlie Brown and Snoopy, or Linus or somebody, sitting on the end of a dock looking out over the water. And one of them says, someday we're all going to die. And the other one says, yeah, but on all the other days we won't. It's about looking at the days you're going to live rather than the days you're going to die. If you live all your days looking up at the stars, it's just a short leap when you get to the dying part. Those of you who have heard me speak before know I was really close to my dad. I learned so much from him. And before he died, I had a chance to spend time with him. And one of the things he said to me was that he had been afraid to die. And he had been wanting to be gone for so long, but the dying part was really scary. And he said, you know, Wendy, I got that name when I was a kid because I never talked. He said, when you get ready to die, I want you to know something. He said, you remember how you used to run and jump when I would come to the house? Because he farmed. He said, you would run and jump and I would catch you. He said, when you get ready to die, just jump, I'll catch you. You know, that's the kind of dad I had. I was thinking about the concept of just over and over and over again choosing to see what's possible or choosing to see the positive. Others of you who know me know that I am at heart a storyteller, so I want to tell you a story about that opportunity coming up again and again and again. Several years ago, my oldest son and I, he was, I think he was out of high school, but he was probably still in high school. Anyway, we were driving down 94 to visit my family. Why it was just one kid, I don't know, because it was usually a whole carload of kids. But I had my oldest son with me, and we were driving down to visit my parents who lived about 35 miles south of Madison. Just as we got to the edge of Madison, and any of you who make that drive all the time will know, I don't know what the road is, but you get there and there's a hotel up on the corner and a Perkins, and yeah, see, there's shaking heads. I was about a half a mile back from that, north. And I had a blowout. on my car, blew out a tire. And Russell, my son, said, "Oh, God, we're so close." And then I said, "But yeah, Russell," I said, "but we're close, you know. We can change the tire. We'll get out, we'll change the tire." Could have been in the middle of, you know. So that's when I found out that I didn't have a lug wrench. After I jacked the car up, found out I didn't have a lug wrench. And he's like, "Oh, you know," I said, "Well, look, you know there's a gas station right up here. It's about a half a mile. We'll just walk, we'll go up there, we'll borrow a lug wrench." It wasn't winter, but it was cold. So we walked half a mile up there. And the guy said, "Well, I don't loan any tools." I said, I originally wanted somebody to come out and change a tire. He was there by himself, so he couldn't do it. Well, finally he said, "Okay, I'll loan you the lug wrench." He gives me the lug wrench. We walked a half mile back to the car. And I was driving like one of the favorite cars I've ever owned, which was a little Audi Fox, which of course is a German-made car, which of course has metric holes. The lug wrench wouldn't work. I'm standing there, and Russell's going, you know, he's a teenager. I said, "Russell, at least we know, you know, that he'll have something. We'll just walk back, you know, another half an hour. Walk back." He gives us the wrench. I said, "See, here we are. We're all set. Now we can go. Now we can go." Go back. We tried for 20 minutes, and we could not break loose one single nut. I was at that point right on the edge, and he said, "Well, I suppose we have to walk back now." I said, "Yeah, let's just be glad, as I said, it's only half a mile." And he's mumbling, and he's going, "You know, it's always like, you know, can't you ever just acknowledge something really sucks?" I said, "I can acknowledge that, but I don't have to wallow in it." And so I was being very, you know, I said, "You know, it could be worse. It could be 40 below, and it could be snowing." And at that point, I stepped off the edge of the grass part, turned my ankle, and fell into a ditch full of about 2 feet of ice cold water. And at the same moment, all the lights went out along and I thought, "Oh my God, I'm electrocuted." And it was just like a Chinese fire drill. And so I'm soaking wet. We still don't have the tire fixed. We still have like a quarter of a mile to go to get to the gas station. And I get there and I say, "Can I use your phone?" Because he's still there by himself, so he can't come and tell me. I said, "Can I use your phone?" He goes, "Sure." I thought, at last, something positive. I called my dad, and I said, "I'm here, and I had a blowout, and if you can come and get me, I'll have them tow the car, and, you know, they can fix it and everything." "Not to worry, I'll be there in 30 minutes. I said, "No, don't be here in 30 minutes, Dad, because then I'll know you're driving like a maniac." I said, "Russell and I will just sit here and relax." So my dad comes rolling up, and he's got the truck and a trailer, and he and my brother load my car on the trailer, and we haul it back to the farm, and they fix my tire and all that. But as they're putting it on the trailer, I'm saying, I'm so sorry that you had to do this. I'm so sorry that you had to do this and come and get me." And he looks at me and he says, "Are you kidding?" He says, "This worked out great. Now I can take you guys to breakfast." And my son looks at me and said, "Oh my God, now I know where you get it." The journey was going to be the same. I was going to have to walk back and forth to that gas station a couple times. I was going to fall in the ditch. I was going to have the blowout. The difference was I could have been miserable. I could have been a basket case when my dad got there. Instead, I felt so cared for. I felt so good. I felt so taken care of. And on the way home, my son says, when we get back home, I want you to get AAA, and I want you to get the premium, which will cover all the way to Madison and back. But I've thought so many times about that experience, and we laugh about it all the time now. And it could have been miserable. It could have spoiled my whole trip. As it was a pain. It did suck. But so, I didn't let it spoil my visit. It makes all the difference in the world. 2016 is going to be change, and more change. Is there anybody here that thinks there's not going to be huge change in the world in the next year? Because I want to know what your secret is if you're thinking that. We all know that we are in a time of great change. Change is life. Change or die. You can't stay in the seed. If the seed doesn't germinate, it rots. If the plant doesn't continue to grow, it dies. You have to keep growing. And the choice you have is whether you do it joyfully, positively, consciously, or whether you allow yourself to just stagnate. What's the difference between a person you see who's always happy and someone who's always down? If you check into what's going on in their lives, very often you will find out that the ones who are always happy are not the people who are having the easiest lives. They're the ones who have said, this is what is, and what's possible from here. How do I take what I have and make the most of it? Another thing my dad taught me was there's no amount so small that it can't be divided with a friend. I hear people all the time say, I wish I had enough money that I could contribute to. You do. It's not the amount you give. Don't ever not give because you can't give enough. Give what you can. I think there's a story about that in a book we probably all read about a widow's mite. Give what you can. Give joyously. And no amount is so small that it's not blessed and multiplied when it's given with a happy heart. As it says, don't ever do anything out of guilt or fear, because anything done through guilt or fear is better left undone. If you can't be happy about giving, don't give. But if you can be happy about giving $1 or 50 cents or whatever you give it joyfully. Because the energy that you give is not that bill or that coin. What you're giving is what's in your heart when you're giving it. If you seriously cannot give without joyfully doing it, don't give. If you can't receive without receiving joyfully, learn how. Anything anybody gives you that they give out of their heart, what a gift. If you got money for Christmas, a gift card, a check, money, something you didn't like, go back and think, how did you feel when you got that? Oh, that's not very much. I know they could have afforded more than that. You spoiled the whole thing. Receive abundantly. Think about it. You want to give abundantly. Receive abundantly. Look at how much I received. Oh, how awesome. This gift that I got is representative of the fact that this person thought about me and loved me. And if you don't believe this and you think they gave it out of guilt, take it anyway and use it as something joyful. Turn it around and make it a joyful experience. Every day when the sun comes up, you have an opportunity to celebrate the fact that the sun came up, to celebrate that you've got another 24 hours to be surprised. And that's all you can ask. It may not go the way you want it to. Again, back to my family motto. Everything's going to be all right. We just don't know what all right looks like yet. But whatever it is, it's going to be all right because it's going to be what was supposed to happen. I don't believe there are coincidences. I don't believe there are accidents. I'm right over there with Albert Einstein, who said, you either believe that everything is a miracle or you believe that nothing is a miracle. I believe that everything is a miracle. I believe that every one of you who's here today was meant to be here today, even if you came to see Mas because he's not here, I am. And I believe that I was meant to be here today because I desperately want to share with you something that's going to make you smile and feel good for the rest of the day. That's my intention. To feed you what you need, to feed your souls what they're hungry for. And to remind you that that's your job most of the time. My father is not living any longer. And there are so many things in our lives that when they pass out of our lives, whether it's a person or a job or an experience, or maybe you've had financial security and now you don't, maybe you had a great job or a car that you loved and it's not there anymore. Maybe you've lost a child. That's the hard one, really hard one. But Dr. Seuss has a quote for that. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. I never cry because my dad is gone, because for me, he's not gone. And I smile all the time because I knew him. Everything that you're given in your life, you can choose to remember with joy, or you can choose to regret it. Missing it is, missing anything that's gone out of your life, you got the wrong perspective. Every day I think, oh my God, I was so lucky to have the parents and the family that I had. Every day. And didn't really realize it at the time. But I never had a day that I wasn't cherished and that I didn't know I was cherished. What a gift. If you've got kids, I can guarantee you, if you let them know every day that you love them and you cherish them, that will be with them forever. And that's something that you can create that goes right in their lives. I've been known to say to my kids, I love you like crazy. Don't like you right now, but I still love you. You're clearly not going to like your kids every day, or your parents, or your siblings, or your family, or friends. You're not going to like them every day, but love is different. You can love everybody. You can get up in the morning and think about the person that you most do not want to spend the day with, And if you think of that person as a powerful spiritual being who came here with the same purpose you did, which was to be a physical manifestation of love, and you think of all the reasons that that person is not acting that way, you will realize that you can love that person. And by loving that person, maybe you fill some of the hole that's there. As it says, nobody is evil. They do evil things not because they're evil, but because they're in pain. If you have a dog or an animal that's caught in a fence, it can be the most incredibly tame, wonderful animal, but you will learn not to go near it because it will probably bite you. Not because it's evil, but because it's in pain. I try really hard to remember that when someone does something to me that hurts. And that's been a really lifelong learning. So-and-so doesn't understand me, and she criticizes me, and she judges me, and I don't know why, and it's not about me. Where's her pain coming from? Where's the pain? Love them. Love them. I've had members in my family that I thought, oh God, why? And then I realized it's an opportunity for me to love somebody who's not very lovable. Here's the key. They're not very likable, but every single person in this entire universe is lovable. You are able to love them unconditionally. Why? Because they are you and you are them. That's something to celebrate this year. That's something that's going good with the world. We're coming to understand that nothing happens in a vacuum. Everything that we do affects somebody else. Everything that they do affects us. And if we're getting from them stuff we don't, we need to look at what we're sending. Love is always stronger. Love is always stronger. And if someone is causing you pain, here's something else I've discovered. When I was pregnant with my first child, I was not afraid of childbirth. I was afraid I was going to be a coward. I was afraid that I was going to be one of those women who scream and yell and say all kinds of awful things. I mean, I was like, didn't want to make a scene. And I thought about pain. And the whole time I was in labor, which was a long time, I kept thinking, pain is a sensation, just like heat or cold. Pain is just a sensation, just like heat or cold. And I had myself so into that space that the husband of the woman in the same room with me went out and said to my husband, "You better call a doctor in because your wife is so far gone she can't even yell." And I was just totally inside. But I came out of that thinking, that's true. Pain is a sensation. We are so focused on the pain that we forget that pain is a messenger. If you're in pain, if you're got a stone in your shoe, it hurts. The message is there's a stone in your shoe. I burnt the heck out of my hand at Christmas. The message was don't touch the hot stove. But the pain was to pay attention. Pain is a messenger, physically and emotionally. If you're in emotional pain, what's it trying to tell you? Where are you not taking care of yourself? I went through a whole lot of emotional pain in my family because parts of my family did not accept this work that I do. And finally, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm in pain because I'm judging them the same way they're judging me. I'm saying they're not looking at me as I really am. They're not giving me permission to believe what I believe. Hello? I was trying to convert them the same way they were trying to convert me. My pain was self-induced. I love them all right where they're at. Don't agree with them. Don't have to. Love them. Who was I to think that I had the answer better than they did? Which comes to my other little gift I'll give you today, the secret word. You may be right. You may be right. Somebody says something you don't agree with, you may be right. Inside you're thinking, no way in hell, but you're giving them permission to believe what they want to believe. My granddaughter and I had the first non-shouting political discussion we've ever had since she graduated from college on Christmas Eve. Because I said to her, you know, Molly, I don't think I'm ever going to agree with you on this particular issue, but I am so proud of you because I know that you have really thought about this. You've really examined what your values are, and you've come to this conclusion. And I so appreciate that you're making an informed decision for where you are. It's probably never going to fit for me, and that may be a generational thing, but I'm really proud of you for thinking about these hard things and making choices and standing by what you believe. Her mouth dropped open. And then I said, and I'm really sorry I've given you a hard time about this in the past. Amazing. Amazing. When I quit trying to convince her that she couldn't convince me, and I quit needing to be right, I just said to her, you may be right. You may be right. There's nowhere anybody can go with that. You've already acknowledged that they might be right. That's a way to see what's right with the world. And that's worth celebrating. What I really came to after thinking about this topic for a long time is that there's really nothing in the world that's wrong. We judge it as wrong. We make a judgment. We see something. We say, oh, those people are wrong. Oh, that candidate is wrong. Please, if you remember nothing else that you've heard today, remember this. When you're watching the debates, when you're watching the campaign ads, when you're dealing with that whole mess, there is a higher power at work that has no intention of letting this country go to hell in a handbasket if we choose differently, if we choose to love. There is no wrong candidate. There is no wrong election. There is no wrong choice. It'll be a different way to get to where we want to go. But what really matters is what you choose to believe, your energy that you choose to bring to this process. You want to make the right decision? Every morning when you get up, say, I want to bring my values and what I believe in and unconditional love into this. Do not vote against anybody. Vote for something. Love is always for. Love is never against. If you can't support somebody, that doesn't mean you have to hate them. Choose love, choose love, choose love. That's what's right about the world. Every morning when you get up, you have an infinite number of choices to make a loving choice. Whether it's to put a dollar in the kettle or $500,000 in the kettle, it doesn't matter. It's the choice for love. To go into the grocery store and choose to be charming and patient and loving, and you will find that everything moves faster. Choose love. Choose love. Because whenever you choose love, there is more love in the world. And what the world needs is a whole lot of love. Love yourself. Choose love for yourself. You can't pour out of an empty pitcher. If you don't like yourself, ask yourself, where am I really judging myself? What am I being so hard on myself for? It's a great relief when you realize God, the universe, whatever name you give to that love that holds everything together, does not judge you, loves you, supports you. If there's something about yourself that you don't like and you're going to make a New Year's resolution, love yourself. Think of positive resolutions. I really want to smile more. I want to choose love more. I'm going to really be involved in my own care more. Not, oh, I've got to do this because I'm too fat, or I've got to do that because I'm all out of shape. You get a lot more energy out of love than you do out of hate or fear or doubt. And one of my all-time wise accomplishments was to understand that the moment you judge something, you stop learning. Those of you who have chosen someone that you want to vote for in this election, and I'm using it because it's such a great example of how we can get locked in. If you've already chosen a candidate and nothing is going to change your mind, you've already judged that's, I feel sorry for you. Because everything that you hear over the next few months is going to go through that filter of, this is the right person. And so whatever you hear, you're going to interpret it as, this is the right person, this is the wrong person. You can't learn anything if you've already closed the door. It'll drive you crazy, but it's the same thing with people. If you've judged somebody to be unfriendly, ask yourself, how did I make that judgment? What was it about that? Maybe it's that this person is crabby, and maybe it's this. Then ask yourself, okay, I don't know why that person's crabby. Maybe that person wouldn't be so crabby if I smiled. Or if I, and if they're still like a rabid dog at you, just step back and say, okay, wherever they are, they are. But you never know what the other person's thinking. How arrogant are we that we assume we know what people believe? And I love that thing about, when you're worried about what someone else is thinking about, you relax. They're probably not. And it's true. Be aware of what you're thinking about yourself. All those are things that I think are important to celebrate as being right in the new year. Is it a turmoil? Is it chaos? Is it totally undecipherable? Yeah. We can't figure it out. You have to feel it out. You have to love it out. And we can celebrate that it will change. And we can expect, we can ask and expect and look for the change for the better. Notice the places it's changing for the good. And the more you notice them, the more you'll see them. And the more you see them, the more you'll smile. And the more you smile, the more you will choose love, and the more love there will be. Ask for it, expect it, and recognize it. Then you can celebrate it. Third quote. There is only paying attention to the quiet each morning while you hold your cup in the cool air. Then that moment when you choose to spread your love like a cloth on the table and invite the whole day in again. Story people. I invite you to do that every morning. Get out of bed in the morning. You're all going to do that, I hope. Think to yourself, I'm safe and I'm loved. And I have an opportunity today to spread my love like a cloth on the table in the world and invite the day in. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I want to thank you all for coming today. I really, really loved the energy that was here today. And I want to invite you to just take a moment and realize that every single one of you in this circle is seeing something different than the person next to you. Your perception is different because you're standing in a different place. Remember that you can change the way you see things, the way you feel. I have a niece that calls it her secret power. She can change the way she sees things. So I invite you to go forward this week and this year and see things the way your heart sees them. See them with your heart. See them with your soul. And if something shows up that doesn't look like love, as Essence says, where you see something that doesn't look like love, ask yourself, what would love look like there? And then be that. Thank you.